So tonight's the time we bring out the featured artist. First, I want to thank John for being flexible. We were supposed to have him on last week, but like I said, things happened and we had to reschedule for Monday night. But I would like to welcome John Defeo from Los Angeles, I guess, who is now in Austin. So he says he's going to be in Austin for a while. So, John, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing good. Can you guys hear me good?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Sweet.
Cool. So, like I was telling you, this is the time of night where I just kind of want you to let everybody know who you are and, kind of what you're doing with your music in, 20, 30 seconds. And then introduce You're Not Alone. We'll watch a snippet of it. We'll come back, get deeper with Dave.
Well, yeah, thanks, guys. First of all, I wanted to say thank you to you guys for all the support and love that you guys have been giving me, because it's just awesome seeing that. I mean, I love to stress about the value of that to independent artists, and I love how you guys have been so on top of it, and thank you.
Sweet.
But yeah, I'm an independent artist, and I've been independently releasing music now since 2014. I dropped my first EP when I was just getting off to Los Angeles for college. And now I'm dropping consecutive singles after my 2 EPs that I just released. One of them was Purple Hearts and Champagne Hearts. And I'll be doing that for the rest of this year while trying to put together some shows and get eventually a tour together once I build up a little more of my following. But for now, I'm just in the constant zone of releasing music and getting it top notch and figuring out what it is that I want my sound to be like.
Sweet. So You Are Not Alone. Tell us just briefly about, that's your new one, right?
Yeah, I just dropped You Are Not Alone. It's really special to me, that song. The whole message behind it, I mean, it's pretty clear when you listen to it, but I'm really just trying to guide people and help people and not just, be writing love songs too. So it's one of those songs that meant something special to me.
Right on, right on. So Rob, go ahead, man. Hit it. We'll be right back.
By the way it feels, and it feels great. Yeah. So you do it again and again and again and again. I don't blame you. We're all trying to find ways to let go, to find out if we are really happy or destined to be. Yeah. What is it that makes you fold? Is it money? Is it weed? Is it alcohol? Is it love? Whatever it is, remember, you are not alone. You are not alone. That's right. You are not alone. Not alone. Not alone. You are not alone. Not alone. Not alone. You are not alone. We all do the same thing. You are not alone. You are not alone. Not alone. You are not alone. Not alone. If I fucked up, I learned that was a test. Yeah, don't be so caught up in what you think you need to do. By the way it feels great. So you do it again and again and again. Remember, you are not alone. You are not alone. That's right. You are not alone. Not alone. Not alone.
Deeper with Dave. Deeper with Dave. Oh yeah.
Sponsored by
Dave.
All right, John Defeo. How are you doing this evening?
Good, Dave. How about you?
Not too bad, man. We're a little rushed. No chance to chat in the green room. I feel naked somewhat in this interview, but improv time, man. We're just going to jump right in. Yeah. So, yeah, I often like to break down the references and the roots of the artist's sound going as far back as possible, man. So I'm reading your bio and everything. And it started with the dad, man. I mean, like 5 years old. So you're born in Puerto Rico, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so man, if you can recall going that far back, if you can remember when you were like 5, 6, 7 years old, I mean, what was it, dude? What was it about him What was it about music that just like changed your life at that age? Because that was what was implied in your bio.
Yeah, definitely. No, I mean, I guess from a young age, there was just something in me with music. I had a weird taste for jazz, and my brother and sister would put on hip hop actually, and I remember crying and just being like, put on jazz as a little kid. And instruments blew my mind, like guitar blew my mind listening to it. And I think I was like, I don't know, it had to have been 5, 6 years old, and my dad pulled out a little Spanish Yamaha that he had under his bed, and he played Malagueña, and that's a really cool little classical song from way back in the day. And when I heard him play that, I grabbed the guitar and I just started trying to mimic it, and I successfully played part of it, and he was like, wow, like he was so happy, you know how a dad would be with his kid playing a guitar or something for the first time. So
sure,
he was like, let's put him in lessons, let's do that. And that's when that really started off my whole journey. I got into some lessons as a little kid, and I did not like it. I did piano first, actually. I don't know why. And after that, my dad had got me this little guitar on a birthday, and it was electric and it plugged in and everything. And I just stood there playing the open strings, pretending to sing and just singing on a microphone. And my family stood around and they were like, oh, that's interesting. But I was just this little kid, and they were just like, yeah. And then I struggled and did it. And I just remember after that, it turned from, oh, so cute to like, all right, can you not do that during this hour because your sister's trying to study or because you're being loud?
Yeah, similar story. You start annoying the family, especially drums. It's the worst. It's like, oh, man, we hear people. Yeah, he's playing drums in the basement for 5 years, always keeping people up and everything. But yeah, no, I had a similar path. I started very young playing piano and then moved to guitar. I think it's an interesting path as a multi-instrumentalist to start with the piano because your brain learns in a linear manner first. I think that's an important piece of the transition to other instruments.
And that was my father's, I think, intention with that. Because I can't really recall, but I think he was the one that was like, you should do piano before we put you in guitar lessons. And
so that was a conscious choice. He had the foresight. All right.
I'm almost positive.
All right. So what about him? Was he a performing musician?
He didn't perform not since he was really young, but what he did in Puerto Rico that was special was him and this artist called Eladio Torres. And Eladio Torres actually he has his own day written over there for a song that they wrote. And it's, they were the first people to make a music video in Puerto Rico in early, I can't even remember the years to be honest, but they made the first piece of video that went along to music in Puerto Rico. And it was actually more like a stand, a short bit of music stands to sing over it. And it became really popular.
All right, cool, man. So what I'm hearing some Zayn in here. I don't know if anyone's ever told you that. For this reason, just because listening to your stuff, there's these great dynamics going on. It's almost like movie production, movie scoring type of dynamics, like big drum sounds, pauses that really means it really grabs you. So, I mean, aside from that, I hear maybe a little of The Weeknd. And obviously you mentioned Kanye West and you're a big Prince fan. Joe and I both are feeling some Prince energy going on, but have you ever heard those influences?
Well, The Weeknd I have heard, and I will say I'm huge on the urban culture music. I mean, I love everything of today's music. I mean, I listen to literally everything of today, and a lot of my influences come from the things that I'm hearing. But I've never really heard anyone say Zayn. That's the first.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's just a few of his songs that have this big movie scoring type of production.
I did. When I was really young, the thing that got me to find and well, not to find, but the thing that made me really focus up on music was when I got into drumline in 9th and 10th grade of high school. I did a drumline, but they were serious. They weren't like a regular drumline. They were some pretty intense people, and they put me through crazy training to get really into all these different styles of music and understanding them, and it was really cool.
Well, cool, man. I mean, the last thing I wanted to ask you is we've actually chatted with Chris Swan about this. It's a strategy in terms of releases, and Chris Swan, we're actually playing him later in the show. He's a friend of ours and he's a critic. Is that he's releasing one song a month for I think 10 months, and then at the end, full album release. I actually like that approach. Now, I read in your bio, you said you've never spent so much time in an album as you are right now. What are your thoughts on like just the strategy of releasing songs and at what stage? Just talk on that.
Yeah, well, that's something that I still play with a lot. I mean, I feel like everybody's going to be playing around with how they release their music in the starting stages, especially. And what I noticed was I was doing EP, and it was like groups of songs at a time, and they were good and people were liking them, but I wanted more reactions. I wanted to just reach out more. Everyone wants more reactions to everything. So I tried to experiment and put singles out. And what started happening was I was writing faster than my, I was writing faster than ever before. So I had this whole catalog of songs that I had finished, about 50 songs. And I was like, wow, let me really decide what I'm going to have to release all this, since it's so much. And so what I did was I started putting it all together into these folders, and I decided, okay, these are the ones that I really want to focus up on, and these are the ones that I'm just going to start releasing simultaneously, as you're saying, probably like every 2 weeks to every month, dropping singles. Mm-hmm. And You Are Not Alone, first one of those singles, actually, which is pretty cool for me. And the rest of them are all geared up. My brother does all the artwork for all my music and stuff. So
awesome. That's awesome. Yeah.
I'm just taking my time. I have a little bit of patience with it. And as soon as, I get all that artwork and everything set up, then I'm just going to start dropping those singles. And my album that I'm working on, I don't really have too much of a whole idea of what it's all going to be centered around. I just
Do you even know how many total songs are going to be on it? Or are you just going to keep dropping?
Yeah, I'm just going to I'm not going to keep dropping. I have songs that are special to me that are staying for that purpose. But I am going to keep dropping music, definitely, throughout that time.
I mean, dude, we live in it's just a singles world, man. It's a singles culture. It's all about the single song. That changed, I don't know, 20 years ago, as iTunes started rising up. And I mean, what do you think?
I feel like it's a content world. Like, it's just like the more content you're putting out now, the more options you're opening yourself up to, with the whole new age of really like Facebook advertisements and YouTube advertisements and all this stuff pushing around, creating huge following for people and getting them, immense people to see the videos is something that hasn't been around forever. And
I mean, you're not old enough to remember this time of like early mid 80s. It was up to the 90s where people they'd do the camp out thing, just like they would camp out for a Star Wars movie. And they would put a tent outside the movie theater. They would do that for releases of music and big artists, because what they're buying is a physical cassette or, a record at that time, because that was the only format that the music was released. I mean, it's just so funny to think back at that. I mean, there is like, you're dropping a song maybe next week. You just basically upload it to your website. There's no like camping out anymore. It's just funny.
And it's everywhere.
Anyway, so
that sounds like a nice time though. What you're talking about?
It just makes me laugh that people
camping on concrete.
Yeah, camping on concrete, man. That's what people did. All right, so jdefeo.com, jdefeo.com. That's the website. What's your social handles? You on Facebook, Twitter?
Yeah, everything. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, everywhere is at John Defeo Music. So John with an H, Defeo, Defeo Music, and you'll find me everywhere with that.